there, friends. It's Ashley with my homeschool brain, where you get to get the juicy tidbits from here and do what you want with them. Today's how to homeschool lesson is the different types of homeschool options that are available out there to you and kind of what those mean in a tiny sense. I am not all-knowing of all methods. I just did some research to try to understand the pieces of them to bring to you today, so you can decide, you know what, that one sounds interesting. Let me dive in a little more. For that reason, I've scoured YouTube, found a couple videos on all the different homeschool types, and I've linked extra videos for you to watch, maybe dive in a little bit deeper if you want to. That way you can decide for yourself if this method is going to work or not going to work, or if I'm just absolutely talking crazy and you don't understand what I'm trying to tell you because I'm not explaining it right. There's some more help down below. So let me start off by saying it is fundamentally important that you as a homeschool parent decide whether you want to teach from a faith-based curriculum or a almost no or absolutely no faith-based information in your homeschool. So are you going to be a faith-based learner or what they call a secular learner? I am kind of both. If I had to put myself in one box or the other, we are a secular family, but I do incorporate very specific faith-based learning in there, but not in my curriculum itself. I do it as an addition to, not incorporated. And because it's not in my math, it's not in my language arts, it's not in my science, we are in fact a secular homeschooling family. But because I choose these, I do want our faith to be taught. You know, we are Christian, and so we do Bible learning and we do character building through Bible verses. And so we just add those things on. So are you needing a faith-based or a no faith-based curriculum? Those will kind of narrow a little bit of the curriculum choices down into two columns, if you will. Now we get into the actual execution of your education for your children. There's 6 main different types of homeschool methods. There is your Waldorf, which I'd seen a bunch but didn't really know anything about. There is your classical conversations, which again, I knew this much about as far as details. Your Charlotte Mason, which I knew a little bit more about, but not a whole lot. Your unit studies and your unschoolers. So breaking those down individually goes kind of as follows. Waldorf. I am impressed with Waldorf concepts. And there's some things that they do that I also do. I just didn't know that there was a word for it or a homeschool style for it. So how Waldorf works in my house and how I relate to them, I guess, is that if you were to send your kids to a Waldorf school, a private school, you would have, preschool and kindergarten taught by 2 different teachers probably. And then from 1st grade through 8th grade, they keep the same teacher year after year, which means that teacher every summer has to spend her summer researching what they're going to teach their children effectively the following year, which is what a lot of homeschool families do, right? There's usually a primary teacher, mom or dad, and then they have to learn something new every summer to teach it to their kid the next year. I love that concept. I think that should happen everywhere. If my daughter could have kept her preschool teacher or her 1st grade teacher, public school teachers, forever, my daughter would have thrived even with her learning curves. She would never have been made to feel inadequate or stupid or left out. It would have been awesome. But since public school doesn't work like that, we're back to homeschooling. Can't fight the system all the time. The other piece of the Waldorf system, now there's lots of pieces to the Waldorf system, but just ones that I related to that I thought were very interesting, is that they don't use a traditional textbook. Instead, they teach, I think they called it from the heart, which we would call like memorized stories. And the children, so they teach these stories, they teach through stories, but the children have to build their own textbook. And we already kind of do that in some of our subjects. So an example, we are doing the order of the presidents and the states geographically from California to Maine on the map. And as we do that, we have a 3-ring binder, we have blank copy paper, and we build sheets for each one of those. And as we hit a new president, we get a new sheet and we put it in sheet protectors. And at the end of the year, they're going to have these really cool little books for both the states and the presidents of all the different things that they learned about each one of them. And they can literally take that and put it on the bookshelf for a resource later. And so the Waldorf theory is amazing to me, and I didn't even know I kind of already did it. So I'm very intrigued by it. I may dig in a little bit deeper for some curriculum options for next year, because I like that concept. The second piece or second avenue, if you will, of homeschooling is the classical conversations style or classical education. And that one I know about this much about. And I always thought that they were pretty much the same as Charlotte Mason. And it is in theory, but not practically. They both are taught through like books and real life events that happened and stories. But the fundamental difference is that classical conversations starts with a piece of a topic this year. Or let me just back up. Classical conversations believes, or classical education believes, that there are 3 stages of learning. And in this stage, you're going to learn this much of this topic. And then when you get up to this stage, you're going to build on that and add more facts. And so maybe the first stage, you learn 20 facts about this topic. The next stage, you're going to learn 20 more facts. And by the time you get up to that third stage, you've completely put together those prior 40 facts, and then now you're able to kind of think outside the box and piece this thing all together and make it solidified, if you will, in your brain over time. The fundamental difference in the learning process between classical education and Charlotte Mason is that Charlotte Mason teaches you the whole concept. And then as you grow older, you micro manage or break down a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper until you have now taken this big pie and cut it down to its smallest piece. And then you can figure out now how all the pieces have worked together. Whereas the classical conversation does the opposite. They give you one piece here, one piece here, one piece, and they build your pie for a physical representation, to where by the end of it, you've taken all these little pieces and now you get the whole picture. And there's so much more to both of those. And again, I told you, I know this much about them. So if that one or both of those kind of sound intriguing to you, do some more research, because I could have completely messed all that up, or at least not explained it well enough to really do them service. And I'm sorry for that, but I just don't have those solid foundations of those two things. But how we do incorporate both the classical and the Charlotte Mason into our home will depend on the subject. We might take a general concept and present it in pieces to build over time. And that might just literally be the history of America. Like, I'm not going to they already know that America exists, so there's big pie, but how did we get to be here? So I will want to teach that in the order that it happened. And then you have other subjects like, let's just say, the ancient Aztecs. I can present that as a whole and say, look at how these people lived. And then as they grow older, dive a little bit more into each piece of the ancient Aztecs. And so you can kind of use both of those systems. You don't have to do one or the other. But that's how I am also in pieces like those, that Classical Conversations and Charlotte Mason. The next type of homeschool is your unit studies. And I love my unit studies. We do it in kind of two different ways all year long. We have two major unit studies every year. We do the first 18 weeks of one topic, and then we choose another topic for the next 18 weeks. And then every month we have mini unit studies, or what I call themes. And it's just a piece of something that we just kind of break down and just dive and touch into a little bit of different things. And it could be anything basic from bugs to astronomy, and it could be holidays, holidays around the world or whatever. But we just take these little pieces and we just do about a month of it. And so again, there's another little piece that we do that utilizes that method. And then finally, there's the unschoolers. And oh, bless your hearts for you unschoolers. There is so much controversy, and this is how they are, or this is what they do, or here's what they don't do. There's just so many different pieces to unschooling. But let me kind of cap this for you. So unschooling is fascinating in the fact that it is a child-led learning system. And for some families, that literally may mean that there is zero academic structure at all. And for other unschoolers, it is not so much you're telling your kids what to learn, but you're providing an environment that encourages them to learn whatever they want. And it is very practical, hands-on, living, functions of life education system. They don't find it as important to have the information, but they put a heavy emphasis on knowing where to find the information. And in my homeschool, that is big. That's a big thing. I don't care what you want to learn about. If you don't know how to find the resources to learn about said topic, then you're in trouble. And so for that reason, we do a lot of, hey, go grab your phone and let's dig into that. And hey, where are you going to go to watch a new video? My daughter just did this whole thing on praying mantises. We spent several hours on praying mantises. She was fascinated. Now, we did it on my phone, and she says, Mom, can you send me that video so that way I can watch it on my phone? And so I did, and I don't know how many times she watched it. So for that reason, I am totally in love with the concept of unschooling, and I might dig a little deeper into that for next year too, or at least pieces of it. I will include down in the description box a YouTube video of a current unschooler explaining unschooling, and it is well executed if you ask me. He's very blunt in his, this is what I do, and this is why I don't do this. It's very interesting, so maybe check his little video down there. But I like the concept. So as being what a label would call me as an eclectic homeschooler, I don't like that term. I don't think it really does my homeschool justice. I don't think it does any homeschoolers justice, because it is a whole brain approach. It is a not in the box, jack of all trades type education for your kids. And I like having that title, if that's what I have to have. But I make jokes quite frequently to my friends that we are a Jack schooler, because we are the jack of all trades. We learn from many different ways and put it all together to make a functional education system at home that is systematic, but it just kind of is this weird web, or maybe web school would be a good name for it. I don't know. But as you dive into each one of these 6 different homeschool types, you will immediately either be drawn to a style or go, that is not going to work for me, or not going to work for my kids. And that's perfectly fine. But if you find that, you know what, I like this piece and I like that piece and I like this concept, and then pull it all together and put yourself in that eclectic box, or jack of all trades box, because it will do your children better to do that. If you choose to follow a specific one of those 6 and it works for your kids and it works for you and everybody's happy, that is amazing. I haven't found that perfect system. And it's okay not to, but it's absolutely okay if you find yourself in one of those types and really identify with it. And that's the joy and the freedom of homeschool, is that you get to make that decision. You should never expect your children to fit into a academic box. As a homeschooler, you have the freedom to step outside that box and change the way your education looks for your kids. And if that in itself is interesting to you, fabulous. If that scares you, that you would have to step out of that box, that's fine too. They have a curriculum out there for you. You're going to have to just decide which one fits your family, your lifestyle, your whys, and the time commitments and the structure that fits with you and your family. And you're going to have to just try different things. If you're lucky, you'll find one piece of these types and you're going to run with it and it's going to be perfect. But there's always a chance you're going to have to try multiple avenues. So again, because I'm not knowledgeable in all things homeschool types, I am linking down below several little videos for you to watch so you can at least kind of guide you a little bit towards learning more about one or all of those different types of homeschool methods. So I hope this was helpful, and like always, welcome to my crazy, and I'll see you next time.